stock chart technical analysis with the bearish kicking candlestick pattern, or bearish kicker pattern if you prefer. Like in this case, it will usually take the form of a larger red-bodied candle with increased volume. It will usually open by gapping down from the previous candle or candles, which will usually be bearish reversal candles on their own. So it's essentially a stronger way to confirm the bearish intent of other bearish reversal candles, since the second half of this pattern with the larger red candle gapping down will naturally close strongly below the lows of the previous bearish candle or candles. And often, resistance will be referenced from the first half of the pattern and not the bearish kicking candle itself. Essentially, a gap down fill on a smaller scale. This chart is a good example of the resistance area being quite pronounced at first, then gradually weaker with future contact producing weaker downswings, and eventually candle patterns that don't have bearish confirmation. Here's another case where this pattern takes the form of a larger red candle gapping down after a series of bearish reversal candles. And since the gap is much larger, it goes more towards a gap chart pattern rather than a bearish kicking pattern, though it still has the same general idea behind the movement on the chart. This new chart has a bearish engulfing pattern form in front of a minor upswing. The next candle is a large red candle gapping down, but since the drop falls close to the recent upswing point, there's near instant support potential that continues the neutral to bullish sentiment that was already established heading into July. If stricter criteria is used, this is just confirmation of a bearish engulfing pattern. Stricter criteria would be more similar to the second and third candle of an evening star pattern, where the highest candle would be a green candle followed by a row of red candles, which is not the case here. This is closer, but the second and current candle has a relatively small real body and it doesn't gap down from the higher green candle before it. Now here's the decisive bearish kicking candle. Ideally, it should have appeared one candle earlier, but as we saw earlier, a minor delay can be quite common. And quite quickly, the market trades below the candle's low, then closes under it strongly to also form 3 methods falling price action. Here's another common and similar situation. A single reversal candle makes a new high, in this case the bearish shooting star, which is followed by a red candle that's relatively small, so it signifies neutral to bearish sentiment. Since its real body overlaps a lot of the same price range as the bearish star, and it does not go below the bearish star's low. So once again, there's the decisive bearish kicking candle with a minor gap down, following a minor delay since the formation of clear resistance. As usual, this can be a good reference for resistance and will be used like a small gap down. Now it's a similar situation to an earlier case with a bearish engulfing pattern forming at this resistance area. Then again, another minor delay before the decisive bearish kicking pattern strongly drives the chart lower. Well, technically it's not a bearish kicking pattern, but if you combine the candles, it's the same general price action. Except instead of a distinct gap, the large drop is from a single large red real-bodied candle at first. When the chart returns back up to this area, resistance naturally concentrates around the place where the two candles have overlapping price ranges, similar to the usual situation where the kicker pattern is used like a small gap down. The next example begins with a large downtrend that is being reversed following a period of bullish volatility. Then the first clear bearish retracement centers around this downswing that contains elements of an evening star and bearish kicking pattern. Again, the main feature of note is the small scale gap down and the larger red real-bodied candle. But the drop doesn't get very far since there's near immediate support nearby, defined by the breakout point and upper portion of the volatile bullish reversal range. Then another downswing with essentially the same characteristics as the previous one. Since the final portion of both bearish kicking patterns have a noticeably higher volume than normal, They bring down the focus of resistance and act like normal gap down candles. So for the most part, attention is focused around the opening prices of those bearish kicking / small gap down candles prior to the contact closer to the gap fill area. Then during the resulting bearish acceleration, there are good examples of the bearish engulfing pattern in more of a continuation context. Alongside this clear bearish kicking pattern that forms a sharp downswing,